Carl and Damon here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. And it is, of course, they made what into a TV series, Castlevania. Still on Castlevania, but we are now in the final season. It is season 4, episode 1, Murder Wakes It Up. As always, directed by Sam Dietz and written by Warren Ellis. This is the home stretch. It is the final season. We have 10 more episodes to cover, 10 more episodes to talk through, and yeah, this is actually it. You know, when you kind of actually get to say that whole thing, final season, because even though Castlevania Nocturne exists, season 1 of that, it is not this.
No,
it's not a continuation of the story or anything like that. This is a story that does have an end point. We will get to it by the time we reach episode 9 and 10. But we are just at the beginning, and it has to be said, season 4 starts off a little slow, just a wee bit slow, but we'll get into that as we go along, as things feel less happy, as we were reminded of how we left Trevor and Cypher. That's immediately where I was like, oh, okay, we're kind of, doing our previously on, you know?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, I call it as, like, depressive Trevor.
Okay.
Because he's definitely...
We do this thing where we kind of go backwards in the first couple of minutes of the show, where we're sort of starting further away and then we're coming back to where we are at this point in time.
Yep.
As sometime later in some dark woods, Trevor and Cypher are dealing with night creatures, a group of skeleton warriors controlled by a magic-wielding vampire. So that was interesting to sort of show these little factions that are beginning to grow up, controlled by other vampires. They defeat them, but it is obvious they're exhausted, becoming exhausted with this lifestyle. That's what I think they were trying to show with this sort of thing, is that it's non-stop. It's non-stop. Even though banter doesn't have the same energy it did before. We then cut to a few weeks before to show another hard-fought battle. After defeating this group, they find a Dracula portrait and realise that this group they just killed were praying to it. So there's a lot of that stuff going on now as well. Even more emphasis on that than anything else.
I like the thing now, because Trevor specifically says that, like, it seems worse now
than
it was when Dracula was around.
To me, I got the impression that basically, probably word of what happened in Lindenberg had spread, which if you're a fanatic, had it just increased your fanaticism. It's like, wow, they were so close, that this was an opportunity, and so on. So we get more flashbacks. A magician vampire about to kill some humans has stopped and discovered this vampire was trying to create a resurrection spell, a bad one, that would have failed, but was once again trying to bring back Dracula. This is the theme of these flashbacks. Constant battles with night creatures and cultists who seek to resurrect Dracula. The world is a bad place and is having a negative effect on the pairing. I do think they did a good job of portraying that, where, you know, two cartoon characters, you can tell they're weary, they're exhausted, and what are they even doing anymore? Do you know what I mean? Like, they just fight. It's almost like, what are they doing to try and save the world?
Yep.
They did find out something new, though. An elemental spirit known as Death. Possibly a legend. Trevor describes the being as a representation of what people see as death, but is a being who eats the soul of the dead. So it's not the literal death, as in the Grim Reaper with the scythe and all that. It's just some, through time, different representations of what this being is. This opening first half of the episode does feel less like a fresh season, though, and more of a continuation than we've not seen from this show yet. We always started and ended each season with an end point, and then a sort of refresh, and maybe some as an introduction, and this feels like episode 11 of season 3.
Yeah, it sounds strong. Yeah.
But we are back up to date now as the pair go to Targa Vista. I always struggle to say that one. Where it all began for Dracula, and it's a place in ruins now with only a handful of people hiding in basically dark corners and holes. However, there are vampires there, and cultists aside, and Trevor and Cypher must kill them. Once they've been dispatched, they reflect on the fights that are getting harder and wonder what are these monsters looking for. Amongst the weapons, Trevor notices a particular dagger and realises it's a magic dagger. So he takes off and they head off to get some rest. On the way out, they talk about the fact that they're still having to fight Dracula, now having to stop those who want to bring him back. I do like that. It's the fact that it's like, we did all this, we beat the big bad, yet we're kind of still fighting him in a way. Outside, and we see they're being watched by a pair of vampires. It's time for some new characters, basically. And here we have Malcolm McDowell playing Varney and Titus Welliver as Retko. Did you recognise Malcolm McDowell's voice? Do you know who Malcolm McDowell is?
Not by name, but if...
It depends what you've seen. He's most famous, like, for a movie he did when he was younger, called A Clockwork Orange.
No, I don't know.
And then later on, he's just done lots of things. You'll know him from Heroes.
No, I've never seen Heroes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
he was in Rob Zombie's Halloween films.
If I saw a picture of his face, I probably would recognise him.
Maybe.
But yeah.
I guess if you've not seen any of those things, then there's no real connection for you.
Yeah.
Varney is angry about their involvement, especially when he sees Trevor as a Belmont. Finally, for this episode, it's time to check in on Alucard, who basically has been adding corpses to his collection outside the front. Mm-hmm. Leaving the building, I thought it was interesting that he was wearing his more recognisable jacket from the game.
Yeah.
He then takes a piss on the corpses as a horse arrives. Turning back, before he ignores it, he's just going to go in. But the whinny of the horse makes him turn around with a sigh, and he sees it carrying a dead man. A dead man with a message, basically. It has come from the village of Doneste, and the people are asking for his help with vampires and night creatures. Alucard reflects on the message's dedication to still have made it all the way here, clearly dying en route, heads inside but returns to bury the body. With that job done, he goes home, having fed and watered a horse, and seems to make a decision. And inside, he looks in the mirror and realizes thinks he's turning into a Belmont, which basically gives you the idea that he thinks he needs to go and help or be involved here in some way. Yeah, it's a bit fillery. As a starter, it doesn't have enough oomph or gravitas.
Yeah.
For the opener of a season. There's a sense that, like I said, it feels like just an episode 11 of season 3.
I mean, we both said off camera that these possible 2 episodes could have been avoided, or
at least
even
condensed.
little condensed to
at least
one episode.
At least condensed. Similar to part in season 3. There's an argument to sort of suggest that parts could have been condensed into other episodes that were a little bit longer, and overall you had 8 episodes. I feel like that was possibly the case with season 4 as well, with the first 2 episodes. Well, maybe they could have been condensed together and it been a 9 episode run, or little bit snipped from other ones and so on. But here's the thing, regardless, it's still not a bad episode.
No.
It does get across the strength or the increasing dedication to bringing Dracula back. It does get across the weariness of Trevor and Cypher. It does get across the fact that, the whole point wasn't that Alucard's going to turn evil or like he's the next Dracula. That would have been, not only would that have been obvious, it almost would have been lazy, but it wouldn't play into the video games because that's not the character.
I think it would have been, as you said, it would have been too predictable, and it would have been a bit stupid, I think.
Potentially it would have been a bit stupid as well.
Yeah.
And it certainly would have had to result in us getting many more seasons and so on.
Yeah.
And we only focus on these 2. We don't check in with Hector or Isaac in this opening episode. So you kind of know, well, okay, season 2 will probably cover a bit of that. And episode 2 is going to cover a bit of that. And that's why I'm talking about the combination more than anything else.
Yep.
But even an average Castlevania episode is a good Castlevania episode.
Yep.
That's the thing about this show. It is so strong overall.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
There you go. That is episode 1 of season 4, Murder Wakes It Up. You got any thoughts? You know what to do? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website, where reviews, news, and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.